In the quiet suburban town of Brooksville, where life seemed like a picture-perfect scene from a magazine, the shadows of a horrifying crime began to take shape, crafted by someone who was far from the image of a typical criminal. A 17-year-old named Tyler Jacobs, known for his charm and intelligence, seemed like just another teenager navigating the challenges of high school life. But behind his soft-spoken demeanor and perfect grades, there was a mind as sharp as a blade and a heart filled with something far darker. Tyler wasn't the type to get into trouble, at least not outwardly. He was admired for his exceptional academic record, with dreams of attending an Ivy League school. Teachers called him a prodigy, and classmates admired his quiet confidence. But Tyler had a secret that no one could have predicted. He was a master manipulator. It all began innocuously enough, with a chance encounter in the hallways of Brooksville High School. He met 16-year-old Megan, a girl with an unsettled past of her own. She was easily impressionable, a little rebellious, and in need of belonging. Tyler, with his sharp wit and persuasive charisma, became her confidant. Soon, they were inseparable, two outcasts finding solace in each other's presence. What no one realized, however, was that Tyler had more than just friendship on his mind. He began to plant ideas in Megan's head, subtly feeding her insecurities and making her question her reality. He convinced her that the people she had once trusted, her family and friends, were holding her back from achieving greatness. Tyler's words were like a poison, slowly spreading throughout her mind. Tyler's manipulation didn't stop there. He also had a dark fascination with money, power, and the idea of control. The more he spent time with Megan, the more he realized that her family was a perfect target. They were well off, living in a grand house on the outskirts of town, a picture of success. But to Tyler, their wealth wasn't something to be admired. It was something to be seized. He began to make subtle moves, laying out a plan so calculated that even his closest friends would have found it hard to believe. Tyler's charm and intelligence were his tools, and Megan, his pawn. Through months of careful manipulation, he convinced her that they could take everything they wanted from Megan's parents. He didn't stop at a mere robbery. No, Tyler had bigger plans in mind. One evening, under the guise of a simple conversation about future goals, Tyler planted the seed. What if they could take all of it? What if they could make Megan's parents disappear, leaving behind only their riches? It wasn't just a suggestion, it was an order disguised as a mere idea. Tyler's smooth words and the promises of freedom from her family's control made the plan seem almost innocent. Megan didn't see it for what it was, an orchestrated crime, a brutal execution of Tyler's genius. Tyler's plan unfolded one rainy night. Megan's parents were out for the evening, leaving their daughter and her friend alone in the house. It was then that Tyler instructed Megan to prepare for what they would do next. His mind had already calculated every step, every outcome, and every detail. They would enter the house when it was dark, slip past the security systems, and take what was rightfully theirs. But in Tyler's mind, the execution would go far beyond just taking money. Megan, in a trance-like state, followed Tyler's lead, unable to see the horror that would follow. They broke into the house, and Tyler's plan was set into motion. But what started as a calculated heist turned into something far darker when Tyler's plan went from robbing to eliminating. In a swift, chilling moment, he attacked Megan's parents. It was cold, methodical, just as Tyler had planned. What was meant to be a clean break from the family became an irreversible act of violence. Megan, in her shock, was forced to follow his commands, unable to break free from Tyler's grip. The crime shocked the entire town. The quiet suburban streets of Brooksville, where nothing ever happened, were now the center of a grisly murder investigation. Megan, still in a state of shock, couldn't bring herself to tell the police the truth. She was just a scared teenager, caught in the web of Tyler's manipulation. She blamed herself, but deep down, she knew who was truly responsible. As the investigation unfolded, the truth began to surface. Police discovered the methodical nature of the crime, the lack of any clear motive beyond greed and control. They quickly connected Tyler to the crime, piecing together the chilling web of manipulation and deceit. His charming exterior, once admired by all, was now revealed as the mask of a calculating mastermind. Tyler's trial became a spectacle. The town was in disbelief that a young teenager, someone who was supposed to have his whole life ahead of him, could commit such a brutal crime. But as the details came to light, it became clear that Tyler wasn't just a troubled teen. He was a psychopath, someone who had used his intelligence and charm to manipulate those around him for his own gain. In the end, Tyler Jacobs was convicted of double homicide and sentenced to life in prison. Megan, forever haunted by the events, struggled to understand how she could have been so easily manipulated. She spent years in therapy, trying to rebuild the pieces of her life that Tyler had shattered. The story of Tyler Jacobs, the young mastermind, serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers that can lurk behind a charming smile. His ability to manipulate, deceive, and control was a weapon far more deadly than anyone could have imagined. And for Megan, the horror of his influence would stay with her forever, a dark memory of how one person's twisted genius could lead to a tragic, irreversible crime.